trial of this issue should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So,
Good morning.
Good morning. Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Brad Snider. I'm a special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
And how do you spell Snider?
S-N-I-D-E-R.
How long have you been an FBI special agent?
Approximately 18 years.
Can you just briefly tell us about your education before joining the FBI?
Sure. So I attended college at Appalachian State University. After college, I joined the Marine Corps as a Marine Corps officer, spent approximately 8 years on active duty in the United States Marine Corps, and then joined the FBI after leaving active duty.
Can you tell us a little bit about your FBI career leading up to this case?
Sure. So I currently serve as the coordinator for the FBI's Southeast Georgia Violent Crimes Task Force. Prior to that, I've been here in the Savannah office for about 15 years. I've worked both violent crime cases, violent crimes against children cases, national security cases here in Savannah, as well as throughout the country and abroad.
Now, on October 5th, day one of this investigation, did you become involved in investigating the disappearance of Quentin Simon?
I did.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you initially became involved? You know, the phone call or the conversation or whatever it was that brought you into this?
Sure. On our task force, we have a intelligence analyst with the Savannah Area Regional Intelligence Center. On that October 5th morning, we got an email from that analyst advising us of a potential kidnapping, abduction within the county. So upon receiving that email, I reached out to Detective Lemons with the Chatham County Police Department just to offer the services of the FBI. At that point in time, they really didn't have a clear picture as to what they had. So approximately an hour later, Detective Lemons called back and said, this is...
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
It's offers to the effect on the listener, Your Honor. How did you become involved? I got a phone call. That's admissible.
Not what she said. She can testify about the effect without what she said.
You may want to rephrase your question, Mr. Dean.
After getting this phone call from Lemons and getting kind of the big picture of what was going on, did you respond to the Chatham County Police Department headquarters?
We did.
All right. And when you got there, what was going on?
Detective Lemons was starting the initial triage of interviews, gathering the individuals that were at the residence at the police department.
And on that day, you participated in a series of interviews of the defendant, Leilani Simon?
I did.
And you were paired up with Detective Lemons for that, right?
I was, yes, sir.
There were some other federal, local interview pairs that day as well, correct?
That's correct.
All right. We've seen a lot of this interview footage from October 5th, but I'd like to ask you a few questions about it. We're not going to play it all back. At this time, had you received any particular training in interviews, interrogations prior to this day?
At this time, an 18-year career, I've done a lot of interviews. The FBI, like many law enforcement organizations, has numerous techniques, sophisticated techniques that we rely on throughout the course of investigation. But I would say the technique that moves the needle the most is interviews. And this particular investigation, we've done a lot of interviews, and really we have to let the interviews tell the story in this investigation.
Now, I'd like to ask you a couple questions about the defendant's demeanor during these October 5th interviews. Her demeanor, her tone, her volume, okay? Was her demeanor, tone, and volume, was it consistent throughout these interviews, or did it change from one thing to another at various points, or what?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for opinion.
Dean, I was sustained an objection.
Your Honor, the witness personally observed her demeanor, tone, and volume. This is not a matter of opinion, it's a matter of personal observation.
Can you state the question?
Did her demeanor, tone, and volume, was it consistent throughout these October 5th interviews, or did it change at times?
I'll allow that.
Her demeanor was inconsistent, erratic. The responses I would characterize as shallow, emotional responses, and that on a dime, there would be crying with no tears, and then moments later, without really any transition, it would go to a normal conversation.
Now, what would cause, what sort of lines of questioning would cause the crying with no tears and the increase in volume and rapidity of speech and things like that? When would that happen?
Anytime the pattern of questioning, pressed her on a particular issue she was uncomfortable with, that's when the defendant would become erratic and behave in that manner.
Now, I'd like to ask you just a couple questions about her story on day one, on October 5th. Did you all talk to her about a trip that she had made away from the house sometime shortly after 1 a.m.?
We did.
And what was her story at that time as to what she was doing there?
At that particular time, it was to pay a front for Danny, her boyfriend at the time.
I'm asking you about the trip after 1 a.m., not the earlier one in the night. What was her story as to the trip after 1 a.m.?
After 1 a.m., that was to go see an individual by the name of Melissa Bray to get Oragel. She had just recently had her wisdom tooth pulled the day prior, and her story was she departed the residence at 1 a.m. to go get Oragel from Melissa Bray.
What was she calling Melissa Bray at that time on day one?
That was Misty, as she referred to Melissa Bray, Misty.
And initially, you were telling me about a story that she was given for a different trip, right? That was the one after 10:30, 11 o'clock or so?
That's right.
Okay. I'd like to ask you just a couple questions about the days immediately following October 5th, okay? Did a local team kind of coalesce and come together to investigate this matter?
We did.
And can you describe the composition of the local team? Like, who was involved in this thing?
Sure. So the Chatham County Police Department had two primary investigators, Detective Lemons and Detective Noble. They were supported by a cadre of additional investigators, supervisors. Our FBI team consisted of myself, Special Agent Solomon, Special Agent Burns, and we were also supported by a cadre of FBI agents from Augusta, from Brunswick, and then at that point in time, once we had our local investigative teams together, we started reaching out to other resources that both the FBI and Chatham County had at their disposal.
Can you describe some of this outreach to other units and resources that come to mind?
Sure. So the FBI has a team referred to as the CARD team, or the Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team. So once we realized the situation at hand, we immediately sought the assistance of our Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team. We contacted our Behavior Analysis Unit at FBI headquarters in Quantico, commonly referred to as FBI profilers. They provided a substantial amount of subject matter expertise. We also contacted FBI CAST, the Cellular Analysis Survey Team. They were able to take a very detailed look at the telephones associated with this investigation. We also reached out to our CART team, Computer Analysis Response Team, and they were able to do a lot of work with a particular infotainment system within the vehicle driven by the defendant.
What about the DFAU? Did y'all use them for anything?
We did. Digital Forensics Analysis Unit. They did a lot of video, audio enhancement. specifically, video enhancement and then audio enhancement as it relates to some of the interviews to clarify various points where the audio wasn't as clear as we wanted it to be.
Can you think of any resources y'all didn't use in this case?
Truly, no. In this investigation, we utilized resources in a very finite amount of time. Really, what it spanned, probably 8 days. And normally, the investigative techniques we employed in 8 days is something that we would use across a 6-month to a year-long investigation. Just to give merit to the monumental effort, that both the FBI and the Chatham County Police Department undertook in very short order.
All in service of finding Quentin and identifying the person responsible.
Yes, sir.
Now, the plan and priorities over the first couple of days after these October 5th interviews of all these 3 people, did that include some follow-up on Henry Bubba Moss Jr.?
It did, yes, sir.
And who had point on that? What office or people?
Because at the time, Henry Moss Jr. was living in Burke County. Burke County falls under our Augusta resident agency for the FBI. So our Augusta office took lead in interviewing with Henry Moss.
Did it include some follow-up on Daniel Youngkin and his behavior and so forth that morning?
Yes, sir, it did.
All right, and who had point for that?
That was Detective Noble, I believe, as well as Special Agent Solomon.
And what was it that they did in his workplace?
When they arrived at the workplace, they sought the assistance of Danny Youngkin's boss, an individual by the first name of David, I believe. They obtained video of Danny actually departing work. They could observe on the video Danny departed his place of employment in such a hasty fashion that he forgot his jacket, he forgot to clock out, and ended up encountering his supervisor as he was running to the vehicle. His supervisor described Danny hysterical and crying.
He's already answered the question. He's just giving a narrative outline and testimony at this point of other witnesses. So I'd say it's here.
That's right. I agree. All right.
Okay,
Let me just
thank you.
ask you this question about the efforts at Danny's workplace, okay? Why was it his workplace is not the scene, right?
That's correct.
Why was it important to you all to go out to his work and figure out what he looked like and acted like there?
It was a process to corroborate the story that Danny had provided at the time. It gave us the opportunity to see the immediate reaction of Danny once he received that phone call from the defendant. So that was one of the main reasons, was to corroborate the story and get that immediate reaction, something that without that video, we wouldn't be able to have observed.
Now, during this investigation, did you have kind of ongoing interactions with Danny Youngkin?
I did.
Did you get a sense in interacting with him for his level of sophistication, intelligence, and so forth?
I did.
With that background, do you believe that he would be...
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
I do not believe it does, Your Honor.
I didn't hear the question.
Okay. Do you believe that he would be capable of acting or thinking to act in a particular way?
I'm going to sustain that objection.
Okay. Let me ask you about the October 8th interview. Okay, we've heard testimony about an interview on October 8th at the FBI office in Savannah with an interviewer from Quantico named Bridget Brock. Okay, were you present for that interview?
I wasn't present for the interview, but I observed the interview in a remote location within the office.
Okay, you're watching it on like a live feed or something like that?
That's correct.
Okay. And let me ask you this about, because I don't know that I've asked anybody else this. The location in which that interview was conducted, is that in Chatham County?
It is. It's at the FBI office off Chatham Parkway here in Savannah.
Okay. And the October 5 interviews at Chatham County Police Headquarters, were those in Chatham County as well?
That's correct, yes, sir.
Okay. Is it fair to say that in the lead up to this October 8th interview with Bridget Brock, that the two most significant investigative findings were your interview
Objection, Your
with,
Honor. Leading question.
Rephrase the question.
prior to that October 8th interview, had you interviewed Melissa Bray?
I had.
Can you tell me first about the process of locating her in the first place?
We first learned of Melissa Bray through an interview of the defendant. The defendant provided us information that she previously worked with Melissa Bray at a restaurant located off of Highway 17 in Chatham Parkway here in Savannah. And I went to the restaurant, approached Miss Bray during working hours, and asked Miss Bray if she had some time after she was off work for the day to speak with me. She advised that she did. She would be more than happy to speak with the FBI. Arrived at her residence at approximately 3:30 in the afternoon of October the 6th.
And what were you asking her? What were you looking for from her?
The main thing that we were trying to seek from Miss Melissa Bray was whether or not she had any recent interaction with the defendant.
And what did she tell you?
Miss Bray provided that she hadn't had any recent interaction. However, she provided text messages and, that the last time she had contact face-to-face with the defendant was July the 5th. She received a text message or a phone call. Actually, I believe it was a text message from the defendant. The defendant said she had run out of gas, needed a gas can. Miss Melissa Bray, as well as her husband, supported the defendant in getting that gas. And then after that, there were a series of text messages on July 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and I believe the 13th, where Miss Bray was trying to get the gas can back from the defendant. I observed the text messages myself. There was never a response. The gas can was not returned. So really, from July the 5th, there had been no contact whatsoever, according to Miss Bray, between Mrs. Bray and the defendant.
Now, in your view, did the text messages that you looked at corroborate what Melissa Bray was telling you about the last time she had seen the
Objection,
defendant?
Your Honor. Comes back to opinion again.
Give me the question.
Did the text messages corroborate what Melissa Bray was telling you?
I'll allow that question.
Second objection, the bolstering, Judge. Witness has not been attacked.
I'm going to allow the question.
Did the text messages corroborate what she was telling you?
Absolutely, 100%.
Now, so that was done before the October 8th interview with Bridget Brock.
That's correct, yes, sir.
And prior to that October 8th interview with Bridget Brock, had the investigative team obtained some important video footage?
We had.
And just broadly tell us what that was.
That was CCTV footage obtained from the Azalea Gardens trailer park.
And in this October 8th interview with Bridget Brock, did the defendant stick to the Misty story?
Absolutely.
Now, moving forward from this, that night, the night of the 8th, this is when the hotel monitoring operation was conducted, right?
That's correct.
Now, were you involved in setting that up, or at least discussing it with Daniel Youngkin?
I was.
And when had that discussion taken place?
On October the 7th.
Okay. Can you describe approaching Danny and bringing this up, and who else might have been there for this conversation?
That was an interview conversation that we had with Danny Youngkin with Agent Savannah Solomon on October the 7th at our office. We disclosed to Mr. Youngkin, to Danny at the time, the facts that we had learned at that point in the investigation. We disclosed to Mr. Youngkin the...
Objection, Your Honor. It's a narrative from the witness again. I don't think that's a question that Mr. Dean asked him.
I asked him to describe the circumstances of approaching Mr. Youngkin about this operation, proposing this operation. This is a totally responsive answer.
It's a narrative, Judge. I mean, if he has a direct question, he needs to ask a direct question, not an open-ended one to allow the witness to say whatever he wants.
I don't think in this case it was. I'm gonna overrule the objection.
You can continue.
So again, we were able to disclose to Mr. Youngkin the facts of the investigation that we had obtained at that point. And two of those important facts at that point were the surveillance footage that we obtained from Azalea Trailer Park, as well as the interview that I had conducted the previous day of Miss Melissa Bray, in which she had no recollection whatsoever of having any interaction with the defendant regarding the Orgeil story.
And did you ask him if he would agree to this filming and audio monitoring in the hotel room?
We did.
How did he react to that?
He was on board 100%, whatever he needed to do, he was glad to do it.
Did he seem nervous? Did he stutter? Anything like that?
No, sir.
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for opinion again.
It's
Now
based on,
it's-
actually it's based on what his observations were. I'm gonna allow it.
Okay. The answer to that question was no.
That's correct.
Let me ask you about October 12th. So this would be 4 days after the October 8th interview with Bridget Brock, right?
Yes, sir.
In which she had insisted that the Orgeil story was true, right?
Correct.
Now, this October 12th interview, where was it conducted?
That interview was also conducted at our FBI office here in Savannah off Chatham Parkway.
In Chatham County?
Correct.
And who was involved in this interview?
That was myself and Special Agent Solomon, also with the FBI.
What type of room did it take place in?
A large conference room, approximately half the size of this room that we're in today.
And was it recorded?
It was.
Audio and video?
That's correct, yes, sir.
In this interview, did the defendant's story change?
Yes, sir, it did.
And how did it change? In what parts of it changed, I guess?
Really, three main points came out of this interview. The first change was the admission of significant drug use on the night of the 4th and the morning of the 5th. The interaction with Miss Melissa Bray and the Orgeil story, that was a significant change. Where over the course of the interview, she disclosed, agreed that actually did not happen. And then we obtained significant information as it relates to her purpose in the trailer park that night and throwing away trash.
What did she say about, I mean, we're going to watch it, but kind of overview, what did she say about throwing away trash in the trailer park?
Initially the whole purpose of going to the Azalea Trailer Park was to get the Orgeil from Miss Melissa Bray. But once we confronted her that I myself had interviewed Miss Melissa Bray and Melissa Bray was not able to corroborate that story, she told us that she also had trash in the back of the vehicle that was placed in there the night prior, or the day prior, approximately 4:30 on the 4th. And the trash, being that Miss Melissa Bray was not there, the trash was smelling up the car. So at 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:15 in the morning, when she drove by Miss Melissa Bray's house, she wasn't there. She took that opportunity to throw the trash that was in the back of the Dodge Journey into the dumpsters at Azalea Trailer Park.
Now, prior to this, on October 5th, had you all discussed with her this Azalea trip?
We had.
And had y'all discussed it with her at length on October 5th, what exactly she was doing there?
Multiple times, yes, sir.
And on October 8th, did Bridget Brock discuss this Azalea trip with her?
She did.
And was that also at length?
Yes, sir.
Now, in either of those, on either of those days, October 5th and October 8th, had she said anything about throwing trash away at Azalea on that trip?
Never.
So as of October 12th, is it fair to say that this was new information from the defendant?
It was.
Did she talk to you about how much the trash weighed? Well, let me ask you this. First of all, what did she identify the trash as being specifically, to the extent you remember?
She identified it as being shrimp pasta. That was a meal that they had thrown away from a day or two prior.
Was she able to give you details on the estimated weight of the trash and the specific physical mechanics of throwing it away?
She was.
What did she say about those two things, the weight and how she did it?
When we were questioning her about that, this was towards the end of the interview, we asked how she threw the trash away. She described getting out of her vehicle on the driver's side, walking along the driver's side to the rear of the vehicle, opening the back hatch of the Dodge Journey, and then pulling the single trash bag out. She was asked how she pulled that bag out. Verbally, she said, "I pulled it out with one hand," but as she was demonstrating, how she pulled the bag out, she demonstrated using two hands to throw the trash bag into the dumpster. She also described before she went to throw the bag in the dumpster, she opened the bag and described smelling the bag before she threw the bag into the dumpster.
Was she able to tell you if this really was just a bag of old food, why she would have felt the need to look inside the bag one last time before throwing it away?
We asked her that multiple times in the interview, describing, is it normal for a person to, knowing that the vehicle was had an odor to it, is it normal for a person to smell the trash before they throw it in the dumpster? And the defendant really didn't have an explanation for that other than she was just smelling the trash before she threw it away.
At some point in this interview, did she say anything about taking responsibility?
She did.
What do you remember her saying about that?
We'll see it in the interview, but I can't recall verbatim, but it was something to the effect of, if I did this, I'll take responsibility. Verbatim, I can't recall exactly what she said.
Yes, Your Honor.
The jury has indicated that they need a break. I figured they would need one at about 10:30 because they've been going at it now for about an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going to ask you to stop at this point.
Do you have up there with you this marked as State's Exhibit 70?
I do.
Can you tell us what that is?
It's a recorded interview from October the 12th, interview at the FBI office here in Savannah, Georgia.
Now, is that the entirety of the original recording of that interview?
It is not.
Can you tell us what has been cut off from the front end and where we're going to pick up?
We're going to pick up approximately 30 minutes plus or minus into the interview. There's a significant amount of rapport building, nothing really substantive to the case that takes place in the first portion of the interview that's cut out and that's redacted.
Does the recording on this disc fairly and accurately depict the portions of the interview that we've included here?
It does, absolutely.
And other than trimming some material off the front and back end and redacting some inadmissible information, has it been altered or modified in any way?
It is not.
Your Honor, I would introduce this as State's Exhibit 70.
Subject to the redactions we've already discussed, no objections.
Now, when we open this thing and start playing it, first of all, what are we going to see initially?
This is the conference room, a large conference room in the Savannah office of the FBI. You'll see myself on the right side of your screen, the defendant seated at a small circular table in the middle, and then Special Agent Solomon on the left side of your screen.
I'm going to take the time to get it up here because it does seem like some people have been watching on this screen as opposed to the other one. Okay. And what are we going to hear you say at the outset here?
At the outset, it's an apology, to the defendant, based off a conversation that the defendant and I had following an October the 8th interview. That interview taking place also at the FBI office in Savannah.
Just briefly, what were you apologizing for, just, so we know what is going on here?
Sure. After the interview was complete, I went and wanted to impress upon the defendant the gravity of this case. It was really a one-way conversation. I explained to the defendant that the entire weight of the FBI and the Chatham County Police Department were going to ensure that justice was served in this case, that we were going to find Quentin and bring anyone responsible for that to justice.
And that was on October 8th after the interview with Bridget Brock?
Absolutely.
All right. With that preview, I'll go ahead and publish this by playing it for the jury. I want to tell you, I might stop it from time to time and ask you kind of what was that question and what did she say, because the audio is, I think it's passable, but it's not outstanding. Fair to say?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, I just wanted to apologize. I think you, of all people, know how stressful this entire situation is. And we've been working 20-hour days, doing the best that we absolutely can to find Quentin. And I hope you understand that. And the stress that's involved in that.
It's on everybody.
It is.
It's on everybody.
And yesterday or 2 days ago, probably should have just walked away and probably let my emotions get the best of me. And I want you to understand that I apologize for that. And it's not lost on me. There's really, you don't have another adult, male figure that you can,
No, I didn't want. And we was never being support one of us, and he was just like,
so I'm sure you feel like a sort of
abandoned.
Just what you feel, when we had that conversation. And we talked to your mom just 2 days ago. And your mom, tells us that it was just a day or so ago that your stepfather was able to give you a hug.
It was the first week that she was seeking care for him. And I needed that. That moment was like just a moment of comfort. That's what it was.
So I'm sorry, but there's some things we'll talk about today. So what's going on at the house right now? Are you staying with your mom right now?
Yeah, at the moment, and so we can get into the housing for the ministry. Because they're going to help me get somewhere. And the moment that I do, I'll give you all the address and everything. But I'm trying to do that so we can do what we got to do with the case to get the case done.
Who all staying at the house right now?
Right now, my brother's going to be there until the 18th, possibly longer. Paul's there. Everybody that's originally lived there. But with the addition of my brother, Beth, you said babysit the kids before. I got back when it was. You know, she took care of your little baby.
Did your mom tell you we found Beth in bed?
Yes.
She was like, oh, there's nobody here. I was like, I'm just, we gotta check for safety. And she
She
was like, there's
was like, came downstairs, and I'm just like, and she's like, I think they got my phone. I was like, probably.
yeah, we're working on getting that back to her before she leaves.
She's like, I was like, probably.
Now, with everybody there, has there been any additional searches that y'all have done on your own, anything?
We found, there was one day that we got a psychic, and said something about a container of books.
So the one your mom sent me, she kind of forwarded along anything she's got.
Yeah, when that happened, Mom and I frankly went to the garage, even though we knew y'all searched it. We still went and looked up every container we could, searched and looked, and I was just like, oh no, Mom.
What's the blonde lady's name again that has the daughter? Little bitty.
Renee, she's always spiritual.
She is, and she was ready to search everything.
Yeah, she's like, escort everything, like, y'all gotta get off the property, they were a long hike, they want to get down, like, I'm like,
That's when Scarlett was running around. I was like, these two are very similar.
she's something else. She'll jump on top of the TV bar and look over at the press like,
Yeah. But she has been ready to search. She said they searched the canal, they searched the land,
She
and
was
go with them anywhere that.
yeah, we've been trying not to trample on anything that could possibly be anything.
Yeah.
You know, so I've honestly asked tonight if you do go walk around, when you do see something, don't touch it.
Don't touch everything. Call us.
Take a picture of it, call them, send it to them, tell them the location. Don't touch it, whatever it is. You know, I don't want to go into the woods or anything like that because there's scents and cover up something that could be there.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that was the last thing I think the dogs were doing today since it went back to, I told your mom this, but I haven't talked to you directly, when, we went back, Tuesday? I don't remember the days of the week right now, Monday, because like I said, we couldn't see a lot in the dark, and the dogs, I guess, work the same way, and the dogs don't live here, so they had to do that on its own, but,
That's kind of in keeping with everything that we want to do to make sure that we do absolutely everything we can, and that we get it all right.
Yeah.
We don't want to miss anything. And I know that's important to you,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So with that, I mean, just kind of, not wanting to put words, in your mouth, but being the time and space that's passed since we last talked, maybe, there's a chance that you were calling things, differently or something new that, it just didn't come up before that we didn't ask.
Yeah, we've been getting it to the long run every day.
well, and you know what, so a lot of, Wednesday was the biggest shock, right? And you're trying to get everything in order of what you think happened.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you get a chance to breathe a little, it's, I think I've said this to someone this week, but you ever drive home and you're like, how'd I get here? Because you're on this autopilot and you really think like, oh, there was a yellow car. And now you've had time to get farther down the road. And so if you remember something differently right now, it's not because you were wrong then.
Yeah.
It's because, okay, I've had time to just kind of let it settle and see things more clearly when, the shock of it all has had a chance to kind of come down. So we're not going to come down if anything's different because there's a lot to be said for some time and space to kind of, things that you didn't think about before because they weren't the big thing or,
It's funny, so we also that was a little church picture there. They were asking me that too, like, can you think of any physical detail that you could mix? I keep going through and through and through.
How much is
The only thing that makes sense, the only thing that completely has me baffled is the door to that door.
the opening door.
The entrance to 544, that is the only thing that I keep on going back to thinking.
And to be honest, we're double checking, beyond just that data that Joe had, to see like, what does this really mean?
Yeah.
So we're again, running through the carpet on every single thing.
So with that in mind, let's just kind of go through, a few things. So let's just start with the Circle K. Tell me about the phone call that you made, I could see, was that Tuesday night or Wednesday morning?
It's
So, okay.
a quick phone call. I can't honestly remember if it was from my phone or Jamie's phone. It was from one of their phones. I called him and I said, I worked out. They've been not having for me. You know,
They keep such low stock, it's
yeah,
first
and they didn't have any, so that's why I went and got Misty. And I really did. Don't be worried about Misty. There was 3 tubes in the window, and now 2 were empty. And one still had some in it. And the one that had some in it was one I guess and put for her. Or whatever. And so okay, like normally they have it. Normally they do it. They did not have it that day. I guess their truck was coming the next day or whatever. I used to work there. I believe they come on Saturdays. What's it called? Thursdays, Fridays. And then after I went like that, I went home. I stepped outside and purchased a big cigarette. Nobody else. I didn't know what I did. I'm very sure I did have a little steering chair in there. I did. And I went down.
Okay. Because when we look at the phone records, for that, when our investigators look at it, there's not a call from your phone to the Circle K. So, do you just kind of help me understand that? Is that you think another phone was
Yeah,
used?
it's possible that it was Danny's phone.
So you think you used Danny's phone?
It's possible because he has his phone right there all the time. I have really bad signal inside the house.
I just grabbed it.
I just grabbed whatever's there. I kind of wish I had this flip phone then. I don't know, I get signal in the house.
They never said they were sharing.
I get signal now, I can talk to you throughout the whole house. Yeah.
Okay. And the 911 telephone call, I have to tell you, when you put the statement together, you did a phenomenal job providing just a tremendous amount of detail that's been helpful for us throughout this entire process.
And then I was speaking of them, can't find the doors, so then the baby, if you want, pretty much screaming at the phone.
Within that statement, you mentioned, or you put it in writing, that you made a 911 call.
Yes.
But there's a male voice on the call.
Yeah, he tried to call his phone first, and for some reason it wasn't working. So then we called my phone, and we got through. He started to speak up first, but the way he was speaking to me was way too calm, and that's when y'all heard the chiming. Yeah,
So that he and Danny,
Yeah,
so y'all
yeah.
work together like
yeah, we were together like this, and he was being very calm on the call, and I was like, no, look at he found my baby. And that's when I'll be able to start screaming and yelling at them about it. So.
Okay. And that was an absolutely chaotic time. You wake up out of your bed and Courtney's not there. So let's just go back to that point. I know that's super stressful, but let's just go back to that point when you got out of bed. Tell me, what was the first thing that you did?
The very first thing I did was turn the phone to see what time it was. I see the door, and I shut the door. And when I shut the door, the way the kids are stood up, all I could do was look around. So before I even started, I just started searching for like, what do you think it is? So they find out that I didn't know.
one day they can.
You never know. It just happens, and you're like, oh crap. You know. I searched the house closets too, because they have this thing about playing inside closets, and the way the doors open, the door never shuts. Like you can push it open and pull it open or whatever. Those are some of the first places I checked. And then outside, inside, I had my brother jump in the pool. He put his hand in my picture. He don't picture now.
I think you jumped in for us too.
Yeah.
That wasn't
That was it. That was the second time he did it. The very first time, yeah, I had him jump in. Yeah. So, I mean, this is what we do at the end of the day. She goes there every night at home. I researched everything. I got up and I looked at his face and the blanket was pointing. And I looked Howell. And then the other blanket was nose outside of it. And then the pillow right there. You know, his tablet was still there. I can't find his stuffed animal anywhere. And the Danny mentioned something about that. I was like, Michelle, she came over a couple weeks ago and had a whole bunch of toys and much. So or something, they had a cell phone on. And that's not clicking. He also, his monkey one was there, and that was in the thing. Yeah, but no, it was in the toy basket that was on the outside of it. You know? So, I told him that, but it's sorry.
And Michelle brought it over.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
but I don't know if exactly. It was just so long. She brought baby dolls and
But for him, it was a new choice. It was his new favorite.
yeah, it was just new toys, you know. And that was just it was big one.
So just kind of go back through that because Paul and Michelle, they tell an entirely different story than that. Entirely different story. Paul and Michelle tell an entirely different story. So let's just kind of go back through that. Because I want you to understand that what you tell us, what you remember, is absolutely just as important as what Paul and Michelle remember. So let's just walk back through that, okay? And a lot of times, the best way to do that is doing what we call reverse order. So we start with a 911 call, and then go, what happened just before that? And then what happened just before that? All the way back to the time that you got out of bed. So let's try that.
I called Michelle.
Let's just start with a 911 call.
We called 911. And after that, Michelle was already on her
Before
way.
that, so it's near 9.
Yeah, before that, like Michelle was already on her way for the call because I was trying to figure out for some reason. And this is the weird, like we pay for the week. We pay for the week, that's what he said. Whether I go to work or not, they normally go. So that was on me. You know, I called Barry, I called her, I called her home. She came over to help me search. This to this day, she was there for the coffee. Yeah, her car was.
So how would she get there?
Yeah, her car was trapped in from the house. I know that before I searched the whole house.
So let's talk about that, right? You know, so 911, and before that, it was a call to
Michelle.
Michelle.
Michelle to see for some reason that she had.
And then before Michelle,
Before that is Danny. I was searching the house and all that stuff. We even outside, inside, part of one lines we searched or whatever, and then when I couldn't find them, it's like we just stood there for they waited for it, and I wanted to get there. You know.
So,
Before that, I was just like, yeah, I slept the whole time. And I didn't want to put my judges out there.
that's understandable.
I was on purpose.
you did.
I did. It was a bit that I took. And that's part of what I did get. When I would be like, get back with friend. I just didn't tell no truth about them.
You know, like right there, I want you to stop right there,
Yeah, I
okay?
did do it.
Just so we're all clear on what she said, was that her disclosing a new fact that you hadn't heard before?
That's correct.
What was that new fact?
At this point in the interview, she disclosed that the purpose of the trip to 204 was to get a perk 30, a Percocet 30.
And did she say whether she had taken it that night?
She did.
And her words here were, I was on drugs, right?
Correct.
All right, and I'll pick that up. That was paused at 14:46:05 on the timestamp in the top right corner.
It wasn't for the service. I was trying to for the service. I didn't want to put the house in trust. Okay, because I saw more than this side. Yeah.
That's huge for us too.
Yeah, so
Or you just tell us the whole thing.
Yeah, so it was off Craig Lane. You think that's the name? I never knew the name until you told me.
She's know where to go.
I just know where to go. So I went there, and that's where I get back to I think it was blind.
Now, pausing at 14:46:34, did she just say that the place she had actually gone to meet the drug dealer was Arkwright Lane and not Flacco's Tacos, as she had said previously?
That's correct.
All right.
And I know they said that they never knew us, never seen us or anything like that.
But we're retracing.
I was like, they know me. I have been there probably about 100 times in a couple months. You know, like, so that they all know me there. Yeah.
And that was let's talk to that. What trip was that? That was
That was the trip to 204. I was at 10 something. A little bit after. We got there at 10:40 something. I got home 10:40 something. Yeah, I was before.
And tell me about that. You know, how was that perk? You brought it back home and then
I actually got home. I'm like, wait.
That was easy.
Yeah,
I've never had one.
you know, it's not. So when you say when you're maybe doesn't take when you take over 30, that's too about 11 something or whatever. I still have some stories right there. Until like, it wasn't until like an hour or so for it to release, which is why I got the order done. By the time I got home from the order done, though, it was kicking. It was hitting. Like, I was a little stumbly, like, you thought I was drunk. You know, that's how I was from the spirit. So one of the times when I was really out of it. And like I said before, I went outside, I did check on all the kids and everything. All on the sky smile. The Jane was good in the little camo Peter blanket I put back over him. The queen of the year. He's really long curly hair. I still remember his face. I was just like this. He rolled over and sleep. So I was like, hey, you know, I just rolled over and go get it. You know, outside and I smoked and got inside before 2. Now I'm asleep. I woke up and get back. And that would be reasons why I didn't get out of bed. Didn't hear the alarm. It makes you sleep. It makes you sleep. And then once you get still and it hits, and it affects everybody differently. You know, just like Xanax affects everybody differently. I mean, pretty much put me out. I probably should have took me out. Like, it was bad. Yeah, it was bad. I probably should have took out. But I took the whole thing. So.
And we'll come back to the portion. There's some things I want to touch on there. But the Orjo story. Tell me again exactly, you know, how that played out, you know, with you getting the Orjo.
Yeah, I got the phone number, I got the text number, and there's no download, you can't get into my account, the public state. I called her. Yeah, it was her husband that thanks her at first, I believe, but I just asked for Missy, and she said, come on through, I got some more. I'll put her down, get back. And I went back, we flew all the way around. She's really right there towards the front. Got the ball with her, back from that. Yeah.
Well, just a couple things on that. I want you to just help me understand. Missy has no recollection at all. And she did not, and there's no communication. There's no communication between you or Missy on Missy's phone or on your phone about anything.
I don't know if I got called in context now. And we get different phone numbers. It changes over a certain amount of time. The numbers that change on its own. You know, especially if you're not paying for it. And so that would be part of the reason that I texted him for a minute and that time I got off of it because everybody asked me to change the number. Because it gives you its own number, it doesn't use your phone number. Yeah. So that's what I called her. It was like 229 number we called.
229.
Her number is, you got her 229 text now number or something. For the longest time the phone wasn't on. That's what she had that one.
Prior to that, when was the last time that you had any communication with Missy?
When I ran out of gas on the road, and we walked down to the house and knocked on the door and asked her for a gas can. And her and her husband walked with me. All the answer, okay, they get gas. And we went all the way back to the car. And that was a stupid night. I was very angry about some cheating that I had found out what was going on. Maybe 2, but that was right after the baby was born. Yeah. So it was
just tell me exactly how you drove into the trailer park, how you drove in, and where Missy's house is.
When we traveled down, Missy's house is one of Mary's houses on the right-hand side. So I walked in, she walked up, and pulled on.
So you went to Missy's house, and did you go inside her house? She was just standing
I just
outside?
stand inside. Yeah, I was trying to run. Like I knew it was good.
How long did y'all interact there with Missy? How long were you there talking?
2-3 minutes. It was a quick little conversation. How are you doing? How's her mouth doing? So, she does some crack stuff as well. She did while she was outside. So that was part of that. And then when I got in the car, when you did mention some milk, you found the trash. Yeah, I did find the trash. This Dan was supposed to take trash off a few days ago, and there was spoiled food milk in my car. So I pulled around and seen my gas stop and I threw it in the trash. Yeah. It was pork, like shrimp pasta.
Shrimp pasta?
Yeah. the whole car smelled like shrimp.
You just had to wait to take it
Yeah,
out.
because I got in there, I was like, what is that smell? I felt that before, even though I go to 204. You know, I felt that before, and I'm like, get out of the car. No, no, it's not good. And we use Glade trash bags. If you have to say that Glade gray trash bags is what we use.
So did you stop anywhere else at all?
I went straight back home, and that's when I broke my phone along the way. Oh no, it's going to it's not. A little time to be supposed to go in the morning. I got home when, outside. Just checking the kids when outside, so just stay here and so I went to bed for the week. Then I woke up. I didn't know Danny got in bed. Even Michelle thought it was weird that he didn't bring all the kids over there, because like I said, I basically leave the machine. Right off of it. So whether I go to work or not, we do it that way so we have a steady pay rate. And sometimes my pay might be, I might have to pay a little bit then and then catch up in a couple of days. Anything like that, we got issues like that, but she's always been paying. She's always been paying.
Sounds like you were dead asleep if you were.
I didn't hear an alarm go off. Danny said that he shook me before he left. I didn't feel that. I didn't know that he even left. And I was like, I woke up. So guys, honestly, that Sky and the kids and then Clinton wasn't there. And it's, I don't know how they acted. I freaked out. They woke up to me screaming. They don't know what I'm saying. Yeah, so. But that's everything straight down to the T. A lot of it. And like I said, you can see, make sure that the way it went in and coming out.
Well, let's look at this. Maybe some of this stuff will help you recall some more detail. So I'm going to slide over here. See the side. So this is a photo of you in your car. That's your car, right? That description, that's your car. Pulling into the trailer park. And where exactly is this in the trailer park with the car trailer?
Yeah, it looks like we get up to the other house and we're going down the street to the street.
So that's where you first pull in, and this is trailer down here.
Yeah, I think it's my first one, and the last one was coming out. It's not really so completely.
Because right here, so you look at that, what do you do that?
The path looks like there and
And where is Missy's house on this map? So Missy's house is about right there. So just help me understand. I think I'll make it. Show me for sure. Well, before we used to go right in, you went to Missy's house, and she came right out the drive, and then she right there. So this here, you have out here with that one. This is a photograph taken from the dumpsters, looking back at that trailer. But what you can't see in this picture is a camera that is right there that we now have. So that we have that camera right there. What is that camera going to show? Just because of all that. Where did you pull that bag out of? What was that?
It was in the bed of the shop, like the very back of the car.
Here.
I'm facing this way crazy.
Yeah, I'll been like this.
Yeah.
Got out and
Yeah, you're there. Do it like I'm right back into the corner.
just kind of walk around.
This camera, that's exactly what that's going to show.
It's exactly what it's going to show. So we get out the other side, to the back, grab it. I was like, not 60 seconds, but that thing's stunk. And I was getting a grab of it. I grabbed it, put it in there, got part of the place. It's just a story. So that's exactly what I do when I'm home. Straight back home, I didn't leave the house until y'all took me there. And that was it, yeah. That's about it.
That's cool.
That's exactly what I did. The trash bag used, we always have, no matter what, so it's trying to always use clay. And the ones that we have are clay, gray, looking trash bags, I guess, blue screen, almost.
Did you throw anything else away? No, that was the only thing.
That was the only thing that was back there. That's nasty. And because I was thinking about sleeping out on the cereal, but if someone wants something to want, I should. So, I know y'all asked me what's on the stuff, and it was baby cereal. It was rice based on real baby cereal. Had somebody give me some, and one of them she had just opened, and her baby didn't do it. So when it was back there, I guess one of the turns I took or something, it just busted open in the back, and I never got it.
There's something else I want to grab. Just give me a minute. I'll be right back. Today, sit down with you, we learned a lot. Investigation and the truthfulness. You just had
Just hoping any of that might at least maybe help y'all connect some dots.
just you simply and honestly, it's for the first time. For the first time, I spent
I have a problem with worrying about other people's safety, other people who go for it. I don't want them to get listed, you know, and then just, I put everybody for myself. And that's how I end up in those situations that I'm in. Because by the time that I realized I haven't taken care of myself, it was too late, you know? So, we don't ask that ourselves, people are not saying, what did I not tell the truth about? Because I told the truth about what to avoid. There's the truth about where it's not. I didn't know.
just that little bit. But let's carry that a little bit further. At this point, we're talking about what? We're not talking about things up here. And right now, when it comes to one, I don't care about the either. So I want you to understand that. But let's take this truth and this path that you're walking down with us down and take that a little bit further. Because, before it was just let me pay back a drug thing. $20. Now, kind of opened it up. Now, Quentin is the utmost thing that's important in my mind. And that's all you're thinking about. Because we don't know if we're going to get Quentin back. So with that in mind, let's carry that to the next step. And the next logical step is you got the cover sets. But who did you get the cover sets from? They were talking about Quentin.
Yeah, it was people, but there's multiple people there. There's Brent, there's Craig, there's Tim. But he right was Craig.
Correct. Can you tell me about Craig?
I'm going 5 to 6 years.
5 to 6 years.
And it's one person every time I was managing for anything, anything, just the only person I ever thought.
He's right.
He's a taller black man, he's 46 years old, dark skin, long dreads. He's actually a very nice guy, precisely.
It's a business.
Yeah, besides his business or whatever, he's always been like a top baby, maybe rice, take up this, all that person. Other than that, we've never actually like hung out, but seriously go by there and take what I want, When I first met him, that's how we even became like that, because I stayed there and they would smoke me up to the point that I times before they even call. It's just pull up, knock on the door.
So is he the renter that you have
Yeah.
see with in the camper?
Yeah.
He comes to the house.
Yeah, he didn't come to my house.
So he comes to the camper.
He goes to the camper in the back of that same property. Because on the very back of the property too, there's a camper right there and some other old houses back there.
What kind of car does he drive?
The white van is one of them. I want to say it's like an older 2010 maybe something like that. And he's got a black truck. There's only two that know for the fact guys, but they always drive different vehicles. Try to be smart with it. So it's hard, but I know for a fact that he does consistently drive the white van.
That's what you would think when you go to your house.
Yeah, well, he never came to my house never came to my house. Yeah, he never knew came to my house at all. Did he know about the area I stayed at? Yeah. Did he ever come to the house? No, I always came out there. There's only one other time that he actually met me somewhere. It was right there next to where they said was Peanuts before Walgreens, where that car wash is. And that was a couple weeks ago.
Well, you see, I mean, that was right there.
Yeah.
Like, that would be something that would have been great for us to know.
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay. So just those little things are what help us find claims. Okay.
There were a few times that I didn't get it with the kids. They stayed in the car with me and Danny gave them one, I have one, whatever. And I think the last time that happened, Scott was 2 weeks old. They seen the kids. Nobody helped them. Nobody got called. Nobody got there. Yeah. That was it.
When did you put the trash bag? So you wanted to be able to get to the oil shop. Was the trash bag already in the car?
Yeah. And like I could smell it when before I even like when I got in the car to begin with maybe 2 o'clock or something. Yeah. And I think he put it in the car earlier that day because like it's maggots or anything, like you could smell it. It was nasty. And whatever, and he forgot to take it off. So when I finally got in the car again to go to the Johnson, went to the Johnson, counselors are here saying we don't face the both of us in the way. I could do it.
Was it like full kitchen trash? Or is it just like,
It's full kitchen, trash bag, like full fridge clean out. Yeah. So.
I just want to leave you, because I want you to understand that Savannah and I here, this investigation is going to continue. We want you on. If there ever is a point in time.
That's why I make sure that when I get this food, I have one listener. So I'm telling you that when my brother, when he came, we sat there, we walked through it. He's like, well, let me ask some questions that maybe somebody didn't ask. I'm like, maybe you think of something, and he's like, maybe just didn't think of nothing all the time. So every single day, even when I had coffee, we sat down and we talked to it. And we talked to it. And we talked to it over and over and over again. He's a big confidant for me. And then he also just let him scream. And they woke me up last night. I was crying in my sleep. They were still yelling, quit it. In my sleep. I love you. I want to hold, stay, everything was stopped. It was yelling stop, but I didn't pick anything up. To be honest, it's just on food, out of the car. See an opportunity to put it out. Now we're gonna take it from her because I had to, where you can see I didn't purchase it and I didn't know where to purchase out of where jewelry like that. It was getting me.
Well, that's another thing that we got to work through. And then, we may not get through that today, but we'll get through that. But just like we talked about the purpose episode, it's always a little bit to get to that. We got to work through.
And there are times like I didn't tell first two on that because I don't really know. That was the second time that I've done it. I got it for myself within 2 weeks.
but everything you said today about that makes perfect sense. And we can confront it. Like we're saying, there's still some things that we gotta work through because we can't confront
Yes. 100%.
Well, I want you to know that I, myself, have spoken with Missy. Multiple other investigators have spoken with Missy. Missy has been to our office. You didn't talk to Missy. You didn't. So let's just get to the raw truths. Because however this plays out, Missy did not have any communication. There's no record of that. Missy came in, she talks to the FBI, she talks to, law enforcement. And she has no recollection. But she did tell me the truth. You did tell me that you ran out of gas. You had to get some gas from it. That's absolutely true. But mine was not the truth. What is not the truth? You understand this? Is you didn't go see Missy that night for the oil shop. So just tell me what you were doing in that tree park. What were you doing in that tree park?
I think it would take it over, John.
But you didn't get it from Missy.
I don't really know exactly what that was.
But you didn't get it from Missy.
Right around there, the perk and all that stuff before I was right around the smoke and whatever. And honestly, I think that they're there hoping that their light was on. Hoping that something was on the car and wrecked something. I don't really know.
But that takes us to this right here.
Yeah.
That takes us to this.
But,
So we pick that
yeah,
up.
it's like a road. And it's like, we go around there, smoke something.
Smoke some what?
Some weed.
With who?
Yeah, no, I was alone. Nobody was with me. I told Danny I was on the road and he was half asleep, so I didn't know we were nothing on.
So like this is, look at me, I'm just looking close. This is what I want you to understand. And take a deep breath. We were talking about Clinton. And right now I'm just sitting here talking to you. We're talking about purposes that you got.
Now I am, yeah, now it's like,
I know, I get that. But you gotta understand that you have got to be 100% truthful about it. 100%. That's the only way that we're going to fit together.
I didn't speak to the super about it. I really have to just find out something.
That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Because
If a lot of time, I'm not going to do it. Yeah.
so, because you knew where to go that night.
I did get a workout that
Where'd
night.
you get where to go from?
But I found it and the card was one of the ones that I lost. And I found it when I got back to the house. And I got a pop on it.
So the whole purpose of this trip
Was to see if Missy was home. Because honestly, I didn't have a number anymore on my phone. And when I downloaded text now, it wasn't on there anymore because it gave me a new number.
So help me understand this. I need your help here. Without you, I can't find Clinton. Okay? So you've got to help me understand this. So when you your house at 1:11 in the morning
So I'm 13, I want to say it's moving on.
to go randomly drive to Missy's house.
She's normally up. They're all normally up when I ran on the gas
The
last
last time that you saw her was
When I
July.
ran on the gas that night, it was 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. And went over there and got her absolutely. And she didn't answer, I didn't see her for play. I ran through, like the way, like I could smell her, she was nasty. But he was from old seafood and nuggets on it. Yeah.
It smelled a lot worse than that.
So that's, I got rid of that. And I was like, that was all just, I didn't go anywhere else. I didn't leave my phone anywhere. Everywhere I went, was right there.
So really what you did was you left the house at 1:12 in the morning to go throw away trash.
No, I really knocked on the door. I felt like there was nobody on in the fight that her son died. Whereas was in there.
Was not there.
No, it's normally parked in the front. There's like a tree right there. And he normally enters against there. You can see it from the road.
Well, that's the photograph right there of you pulling into Jose Trailer Park.
Now it's going down and you kind of look over there and you can see the photo. You can see
There's not quite. I just want you to see this. There's a hard right. So you go straight this way. This is the data right off of Life 360. and yourself on that, okay?
And if you look down, you can see your tree, and it's right there in front of the house, you can see it. And if a push light was on, you would stand light on it. For some, when a person's bike, his bike against a tree. And normally, if that bike is there, if somebody is up, because he's young. You know, like, so I went back home, I got home, and I went to the car, and I found the village, I went to the states, and I think it was one that, I don't know where I got home from. So it could have been an older one, it could have been my boss, I don't know, I've been having teeth problems for a while. But no, I did not leave that one with the sole purpose of throwing the trash. It was really, okay, I Missy has enough problems. And I can't find it. Let me go see if we're going to push that either.
So is the word gel more powerful than Percocet?
When it's on the inside of your tooth, because my tooth is broken down or whatever, I need something that will take the pain away until the Percocet fully hit. You know, so I put it back there instead of comfortable. And when it actually fully hit me, and by the time I got home, and I was sitting there, like, it started to hit, and I left. But I could just feel it coming on.
When you left work,
I left the house.
but you took the Percocet when you got back to that
Yeah, but it
house.
was like 11, yeah, no, I didn't take it as soon as I got back home. I took it 30 minutes, 40 minutes, or whatever.
So like
11 something. It takes about an hour for it to hit and it's going to change.
It takes an hour for Percocet to hit.
Normally, it depends on if it's fast acting or if the pill is old. But that pill, I think, was old. It took a little bit longer to hit, and obviously it's probably because people can't get all of these scripts that easy.
But it was strong.
It was from when it did hit. It had a delayed reaction for people. But when it hit, it hit. And it said T189, so I know for a fact that was right. My soul purpose feels good. You go and see if they have the shoes on. You know, or there are no weapons on, and no pipe was in there. So I just kept on driving. And I got the car and I couldn't get up. So I got right there and did the way he was supposed to put it away earlier that day. After we got our teeth and stuff.
You only went through your trash away?
Yeah.
Where do you put that trash at?
Normally we take it to Azalea or Cottonville. Cottonville is the two places that we go to, and every now and then my brother told Danny about taking it to Slate because I guess they have construction or whatever going on and they wouldn't have a problem with it going on.
When did he put that in the car?
When we got back to the house before we picked up the kids, so when we got home, then like I said, we were trying to clean up, make dinner, all this stuff, get things ready for when we did pick up the kids at 4:30. So part of that cleaning was cleaning out the fridge and everything when we come to the shopping. And we never ended up going shopping for the week part. And that's what we were wanting to do. We never moved, eggs, all that stuff we did.
So you threw that in the bin before supper.
Yeah.
Y'all don't use the big trash cans for out.
You know, he was supposed to put it all in. He was supposed to put it all in there. And it's like he got distracted or something. He was going there or went somewhere. Without him, it's nasty. He was supposed to take it off. And it's because Thomas gets mad when because it hadn't done it like it. Like, that bag of trash was already started before we even got to cleaning out the fridge. It was already sitting in the trash can. When we got there, we finished cleaning it out. And that's how we looked in there. We didn't have gnats and flies and all that stuff in the house, fruit flies and all whatever. And I think it's just because of the weather changing. And yeah, later that was nasty as well. Like the food ourselves, like the one we pulled it out of the fridge, like it's not good.
In the fridge.
Yeah, like it was, but please don't shut all the way sometimes. And when it don't, milk was still packages, so it was milk thrown away, it was yogurt thrown away, it was eggs that were nasty, and that big bowl of pasta salad that was
So again, that trash bag was in the car.
before I got it.
When did the trash bag get placed in the car?
I can't tell you exactly the time. I know it was before we picked up the kids, because the plan was to load up everything and pick up the kids.
So that would have been at what time?
3:30.
3:30. So just before you picked up the kids at 3:30.
Yeah, because he picked up the kids himself. I stayed at the house. He was supposed to take off all the trash or whatever, and I basically got sidetracked and didn't load up the rest. Like I told him, go ahead and put that in there. We go ahead and load up the rest when we go take off pick up the kids. And he didn't load up the rest. Yeah.
Alright, so again, it goes back to where we were Wednesday and kind of where we
And Danny swore up and down to me that he's seen him. Swore up and down that he's seen him. And when they came out, he was like, "Good question, me so much, I don't even know." I was like, "That just says something." You know if you glance. It doesn't matter if you glance. If you're a parent, you know if the babies are there. You know? Yeah.
That's all we want. That's all we want.
He's so broken.
That's all we want. But you can see what I'm talking about here. You can see what I'm talking about when we talk about sex. When we talk about stand up worship. You gotta understand that you held on to that information and didn't talk to us about that.
That's just the thing that it really, I've never been in a situation like this, and you know, you don't ever think anything like this is gonna happen to you. And I sat there and told him yesterday, I'm saying everything, and I said, there's some things I need to tell him exactly how it went, because it's not like a completely bad. But I love that it's the truth. You know, when he was there, when the light was on like it was that night when the guy was out of gas, I would have pulled right up there. I would have pulled up right there and knocked on her door. And she, that night that I got the gas, she knew it was that night too. I didn't say no. Yeah. Just, damn. That's me. I didn't think anything, but I just kept on thinking what happened after 6. That was my thought process. What happened after 6? He was told that he was last seen at 6. Danny said he seen him when he left. He texted the babysitter and said that they're not coming. So if they're not coming and you were up at that time, you knew the babies were there. You know? That's what's on there.
Well, like I said, of course, investigation the last time they saw any sort of that building seeking quantity. That's the last time. So we can't confirm anything as it relates to today or anything after 4:30. It comes down to stuff is just as simple as this. This is what it says. You tell us that you want to go see the city of the job. Now, hey, I'm not a narcotics agent by any stretch. She can't tell me.
The way you release when it starts doing it, there's sometimes that I've had to take 2 or whatever because we wait an hour and it doesn't hit. And honestly, especially a lot of that could have to do with the fact that I was snorting because we could have been clashing. And I was like, no. I didn't know that they were for all that happened, Tuesday. Yeah, and the day for Tuesday. Yeah, and that Wednesday, yeah. I was class on
So you, at that time,
Kirk, coke, weed, and whatever they shot in my mouth.
all in and around, all between 4:30 Tuesday night.
Yeah, all that was it, and then we worked from there.
So where did you get the cover from?
I already had that for a few days. It's from Duke Marvin, to say that, but
Marvin?
yeah.
Tell me about Marvin.
Marvin is a coworker at Danny's, we used to be, we did a couple of together. Yeah, he's got that.
What's Marvin's last name?
I have no idea. It's Marvin. So I call him every day. We both call and go to his house. So we're in So this is, he stays off of Cowan. So we come down here and we're trying to figure it out. This is the 4 ways to come up here. It's gonna be off one of these streets over here. Cowan? Yeah, no, like C-O-W-A-N. Cowan. And we got that from there. I think Danny was the one who bought that business. And like I said, so there's a little corner store. This is the drug is the corner store down here. You keep on going, it's this first street, and it's the last house on the right hand side.
And Marvin, blackout. Tell me about Marvin.
He's a dude that sells weed. He's come to the house a few times. I've been giving them baby beds and big clothes and stuff for their little baby that Quinn and they're growing out of, whatever. And he had just recently started selling coke and Danny he bought like a tea from him or something like that. And he first sent like 40 Yeah, we received, I think it's Morgan Smith, is someone that will be in one of our cash ups.
When did you bring that?
A day or so ahead before.
So Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, something like that, maybe Tuesday.
So when did you use that room, that code?
I was a daily user.
I didn't use it.
I used to do it.
So you usually wake up and take it?
No, I'm more like I wake up and about after 2 or 3 yesterday.
So,
And I do it throughout the night. And then I go to bed and then about, sometimes it's before 2, sometimes it's after 4. It just depends on how much I was doing and what time of day I was having.
So just before you left to go take the trash to LA, you got on cocaine and the pill set and
It hurts, yeah. And like the goal wasn't to take the trash out. The goal was to see if she was there. I tried to get in contact with her. I don't know her name on Facebook, but I knew where she stayed at. And that's because I had taken her home before when we moved up those years together. And I did the same thing up to the right there, drove her off and watched her.
did you see this path that we're going down right now? So again, you're doing great. You're doing great, and this is the type of stuff that's going to help us find out. Okay? But, we have to find out what else. What else is it that you're holding back? Because, now,
I'm not holding anything back. Those details about 2 or 4 and right through there, that's everything. Those are the only 2 things that I have back. And I didn't want to go to or get in trouble or whatever. And I didn't really know how to 100% explain why the hell I just left and, didn't call her or whatever. It's because I didn't have her contact. I used to. I got a text now they changed my number, so I couldn't call her, but I didn't have her contact.
Remember when you started cooking on Tuesday? Did you? Before or after you opened? What?
And it was not long after we started doing it. He already had it. I can't tell you exactly what day he bought it. And some of those who can tell you things that were up all the time. Whenever it's up and up. Yeah, I see the doors opening up constantly over a period of time. A lot of us going in and out smoking cigarettes because we don't know how to do it.
So when you started, before you picked up the kids, kind of used it through the night?
Yeah. Throughout the day, it didn't matter. It's just whatever. Because you're high and people know. And not hurt. And so I did. I put in my teeth, my snorting, I never smoked it.
so when you come back home from taking the trash to the dumpster, do you do more coke when you get back home?
I got it under the line, I'm saying, I'm trying to get it remember that a prop food is on me. And that's
Where did you do that?
how I
At your house?
that stand up under the TV that's hanging on the wall in the room. And it was always on top of that. Then I said, it's
Right.
and high and you didn't have to bend down or nothing like that. And we had it inside the cabinet, it was crazy.
And so you're doing the coke, and that's while the back door is opening and shutting.
Constantly, because every time we hit one, we always smoke a cigarette. We hit one, we always smoke a cigarette. Me, I was hit one and go smoke weed and a cigarette. Weed was always mixed in with whatever I was doing.
Let's go from, just like we did with the 911 call. Maybe this is why I don't hear the call something. So let's go backwards from the point that you were stopped in front of these dumpsters. So you were stopped in front of these dumpsters for how long?
Maybe just like a minute.
And just tell me from the time that you pull off to the time that you pull off, tell me, kind of in reverse order, what happened in the time that you pull off.
Reverse order, so I'm backwards from me. Drive by, and I look out, and I see no light, and I see nobody right there. Before that,
Just before that, so we've already moved a couple steps before, so just before that, so that would include, going backwards from when you pull off, that would include, getting back in the car, and then from there.
Did you turn the car off?
yeah.
You just left it running and ran, got up back?
Yeah. And I looked at it first, I could probably see it on camera because I really thought that he would be throwing it away and took the kid from the kid. I opened it first and I was just like, okay, close it.
So So you opened the trash bag before you threw it in the dumpster?
Yeah, I didn't know what it was. Like, I knew that all the trash needed to be taken out, and I knew that I told them to take that out first, especially even if it's just one bag of tape, because it's not terrible, you know? I said, like, if you get it out, open it. Yeah, I closed it. Like, it was already kind of partially tight, but not completely tight, which is why the cracks don't really get big.
So let's talk about that piece right there. And we're gonna break this down piece by piece, so just so we can understand, okay, that's the only reason we're doing this. Because, you know, you told us just sitting here how long that trash bag was placed in the car just before we went to pick up the kids, and you knew that was the dinner from the night before.
It was probably, it was just old food, like older, it was clean out of the fridge.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
But I can't help me understand this. Do you think that that's something common that people do is before they put trash away to open it up and look at it and see what they're about to throw away?
Yeah, we don't really know exactly what it is, and it was like not completely tight. Like Hollywood, I even opened it when I would go out there, it was a little bit open.
They could smell it.
And I could smell it. So like, when I go back, it's not like I opened the whole bag and looked in it or whatever. I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, okay.
All right, so let's keep on going. So you pull the bag out of the car and you opened it to smell it. And you tie it back up.
Not too small. I could smell it. It was already like partially, not completely tight or whatever. Like I was just like, okay. And then like finished tying it with just a little, you know, so
How heavy was the bag?
I don't know, maybe 20 pounds. It's not about old food. And I have to cut my milk. I was spoiled, you know. It wasn't much.
Did you have to carry it with one hand or two hands?
And just pick it up. The only time I put it up there, I pushed it up in the bottom. I gave the whole bag to a fell in.
Where in there did you put it?
Which I believe it was this
Like that side door?
Yeah, right there.
Because sometimes you throw them over top, so.
No, because that's right there. I'm sure that right there is above my, it's already almost like right here to me. Yeah.
So when you push it in, did you have to push with two hands to get it in there?
No, I just had it.
Was it pretty full? Like the dumpster?
Yeah, it was about halfway full, a little bit more than halfway full. I didn't have to use two hands, I just put it in there.
Okay. All right, so I know this is hard to do reverse order, but let's go just before that.
Just before that, drove by Misty's house, one night drove by the still.
But we know we didn't do that, right?
When you drive right here, if her light is on, you can see that tree. It's literally, that tree is right there in front of her house, right before the driveway. When you drive by, if you glance, you can see that. And you can see if the porch light is on.
But at this point right here, because this camera right here sits right there. So you're already driven by that one, right?
Yeah, it's right back there as soon as I pulled in. I didn't see it. It's really weird.
Was there any points at all that you stopped in here to see anybody else that you knew in there?
I don't know anybody else in there. She's the only person I knew besides her husband and her kids. So I didn't, that's why I didn't go through the whole neighborhood or anything. I didn't know anybody else. I just drove this way. That's right there. I'm telling you, you there, you can see the tree, and you can see the lights. I keep going, around. I said, yeah, let me see the west person is through the way. When I left, I was straight home before I got the car. Yeah, I don't know where the door. My hand, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sure.
You had a line before you got a car, so you said?
Yeah, I believe
So you drove with it?
Yeah, I always had it.
Gotcha.
Like anywhere I went, I could do it. Use it for the car.
And you smoked in the car?
Yeah, it's one time I got too, you know. Probably found like a million traces of coke in the
So at what point did you realize the smell was so bad that you should stop at the dumpster and throw it away?
It was before I even pulled out of the house. It was like the moment that I got in the car and the trash, I had time to sit in the car throughout the day, that I just smelled it, and I was just like, at first, like when I first left to go to 204, I smelled a little strong, but it wasn't too bad. Like, I was just like,
No, not to make you want to stop it.
yeah, not for me to check it or anything. I said, maybe something just stinks in here. I don't know. You know, maybe it's the car itself. And And it was and I got here, got back in the car again. I was like, I can't stand it. So we got up here and whatever, and I seen that she was at home, so I was like, whatever. And I went around and I started, so I gotta get rid of this company.
So was the bag heavy enough where you had to like drag it out of the
No,
back?
I could pull it out with one hand. I pull it out with one hand and I put it up there and just like that. Just like so you take the trash bag and I throw it over this or you pick it up and push it over the side, you know? That was it.
Did you see any people?
I don't think so. Not really.
Drivers?
Yeah, I don't think I seen anybody. I know when I was coming down the road in Freshman, there's some black man walking down the road and Bud called there, but he always is walking up and down the road.
So you didn't see anybody else around the dumpster site? Nothing wrong right there.
No, but I mean, there's raccoons. There's plenty of raccoons out there, but that was it.
And that camera, that's going to show us.
That was exactly that. Let's see that it was. Y'all see that? It was pull it out easy, really easy. There was no struggling with it at all. So something. All the food and trash, that was all that was in the bag. 100%. Smell it. Sure. All of it.
There's more in that bag of trash.
There was nothing but old food and trash from that fridge in that bag. But I didn't even put more than 20 pounds of sort of like that little boxes for I don't know about how much something weighs. And one of my oldest son was about 40 pounds, so I put one was weighing close to 32 pounds or something like that. It weighs a chunk of solid dude. Yeah. That bag never know when to come out. You can see when I walk to the floor and you can see that I'm not struck with I'm not struck with the wood. And it's not like I sat there and was like holding it or something like that. It's nothing like that at all. I just got out. It's like, damn, I thought you took that trash out. You didn't.
Well, just, again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. You don't want to go over and see.
You just want to be home. And I didn't do nothing to my child. Okay? I did nothing to that baby at all, but love him and care for him.
There's no doubt that you got
You know, I got it up, you know, when I got out back home, he was there. When I got home, he was there. Do I know what happened between the time that I went to sleep and when I got up? I don't.
It's not case. Okay, I've got that. But there's more to the story that you're not telling us. Everyone knows what they do when they're under the influence of cocaine, poison. That's what we do. And Lord knows what the weed was could have had. We don't know that. So there was something that happened when you were absolutely blitzed out of your mind on cocaine, weed, and Percocet. I mean, that's a hell of a combination. So that's all we got to get to.
I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened at all.
I know maybe right there in the moment, you had no idea. You know, you had just had issues with him. Y'all were in an argument. You felt like he was abandoning you. You were hurt. You were struggling. You had nobody to reach out to.
No one ever helps you.
And we see that. We see it in the video. I don't have a copy of the video here. But see, then I look and watch it. And we know the struggles that you were facing. We understand that. As best we can. We try to understand. We can't live through your life. We don't completely understand. But watching those videos, again, like what I said earlier, I heard for you. Now I can understand that. But there was something that has to
Nothing that happened to my knowledge that they was in a pit.
When you see the babies, you're by yourself and something happens and you're beside yourself and there's no one ever going to help you alone. And you've got two babies, you've got to hold and think about them.
And the daddy was there too. One time he went in my bed, watching TV, and I was asleep, and he was wrong, laying down, but he was there. You know?
Do you go with you?
He went to look at the kids. When my brother got there, and he said that he's when he got hung out for, like, what's happening?
And kids are in the house. What things are
Awful. Every time, me and him never really went anywhere together because of the struggles of taking kids out in public and, going like that. So it was like he would go or I would go. And if we all went, it was normally right after picking up the kids because they're already in the car. But there's nothing that happened that would make him.
that you remember right now.
I will tell you that, yes, I was messed up, and I was fucked up, and I sometimes I got sorry, but I would change the way I look at things. There was nothing that happened that I can remember. When I went to bed, I saw as I know he was there. When I woke up, he wasn't. So there was nothing at all to my knowledge that I can remember. And I couldn't, and it is my fault because I was so messed up.
But it's huge.
Yeah, so I would say that like if I did something to him, I don't remember doing it to him. If I did, I don't remember hurting him. I don't remember taking him anywhere or anything like that. I remember seeing him in that bed when I went to sleep. That's what I remember. When I do, I remember that hair. Like, he's such a pretty baby. Sky's bottle was, she wakes up around 4 or something normally, and then I get about 3 or 4. I took the bottle out of her mouth, because she had popped up. I'm pretty sure Danny or something, I don't remember dropping the bottle. Zane, I covered her mouth with flu camel blanket. I remember putting serious face and he was asleep. I don't know anything else.
But something happened. That's why it's going through this backwards. We're there. We know something happened. It wasn't, nobody's saying that you strangled, you killed your baby. I'm not saying that. But we both know something happened that night that we have got to figure out. And that's where we are. And I am pleading with you to help me help you control this story. Because you're put in a bad situation, a very difficult situation. We talked about this. The addiction to cocaine, the addiction to Percocet. I mean, for crying out loud, you could snort around cocaine and go to sleep.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of what I was so long ago.
So just help us go back. Quentin wasn't crying and he did something that you just absolutely right now have pushed so far back in your mind. You love that boy beyond belief. I could see that in the video that I watched. He was your prize. But you did something when you had no control because you were under the influence.
I don't remember. I did not do anything to him.
You didn't do anything intentionally.
I don't remember doing anything to him. I always face him and putting him in a bag.
We're trying to help you.
I know, and I don't know what he's doing. I really don't. I don't know what happened to him.
I know, we don't either, honey. We
I
don't
don't
either.
know. I want to know. I want to know so bad. Kirk touching your baby. It is so hard. He was there when I went to sleep. And I was so fucked up that I did something. There's something and I would take my responsibility, but I don't know what it was. If I did, and I don't know what happened, and I don't know where he is. I know I got a little mental issues too, and you'll ask me everything that, maybe this will take the over, and I don't know at all, and I don't.
You said that, right? But sometimes you don't remember when you changed until it's already happened.
Until it's already happened, yeah.
And then you wake up and you're back to yourself. And
Yeah,
everything's gone.
it's like, I don't know. That wasn't a lot of high emotion, was a lot of pain, and I don't know if I did something to him. But if I did, I'll take my responsibility. Whatever y'all find, I will take my responsibility, but I'm hoping to God that y'all come home with him alive and well in my arms. That's all I want.
I just have some follow-up questions, Robert. Getting pretty close to being done with this direct examination. Just to recap a few things from that interview, you know, I don't know how well people could hear it, so I'm just going to be on the safe side here. Did she ultimately tell you that the Percocet she had obtained that night was from Craig?
She did, that's correct, yes, sir.
And this was something that she had identified as red in earlier interviews?
That's correct.
But in this interview, she confirmed that Craig and Red are the same person?
Yes, sir.
And in this interview, she admitted that she had met him at Arkwright Road, not Flacco's Tacos.
That's correct.
What did she ultimately say, eventually, about whether she had met Misty that night?
Ultimately, as a result of the interview, she provided that she hadn't indeed met Missy that night.
And that was only after first telling you in here that I did meet Missy 100%.
On multiple occasions, yes.
What did she ultimately say about whether she had gotten Oragel that night and where she had gotten it?
She couldn't get off the fact that she did get Oragel. So after we came to the determination that she didn't get Oragel from Mitzi, she continued to state that she had the Oragel, found it in her car when she got back to the house.
Is it the case that she offered this information about cocaine use eventually to explain her shifting stories?
That's correct.
And what did she say to you about the frequency of her cocaine use around this time frame? Not just that night, but just the frequency of her cocaine use generally?
Yes, sir. So that she was a daily cocaine user and she was using cocaine, Percocet, marijuana on October the 4th, as well as the early morning hours of October the 5th.
And specifically, did she tell you that she had been using cocaine throughout the night that night?
She did, yes, sir.
Did she tell you that after she had gotten home from the dumpster, she had hit another line or two?
She did.
And did she tell you that she was all types of fucked up that night?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
At one point, did she say that I was so messed up on drugs?
That's correct, yes, sir.
And did she tell you that if I was so fucked up that I did something, I'd take responsibility?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
All right. Now, were you involved in the coordination and oversight of the landfill search?
Yes, sir, I was.
Now, can you tell us generally, in relation to the search area pointed out by the landfill manager and then later outlined by Team Adam, where were Quentin's remains ultimately found in relation to that box or so?
They were found in the lower left portion of the box that Team Adam had identified for the search team as the area to search.
Now, did you all keep an open mind during this investigation and take seriously the idea of Paul and Danny as suspects?
We did.
Why did the investigation ultimately focus in on the defendant?
Ultimately, there were 3 individuals in that house, 3 adults in that house. And of those 3 adults, there was only one that continued to lie to us throughout the course of the investigation.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Let me take this opportunity to break for lunch. And Mr. Hilliard, you can begin your cross-examination when we come back.
Thank you, Judge.